Yeah, we'll check out the Ken Summer video. Which I do want to watch Skinny Car. We'll check out Skinny Car afterwards.
Beginning in 2001, the Perry Bible Fellowship is perhaps one of the greatest webcomics of all time. And it was sometime between 2004 and 2005 that they would publish what would likely be the most consequential comic in its nearly 25-year history, Weeaboo. It depicts a business meeting where the speaker says, if we waste any more time on Weeaboo, we'll be bankrupt by the end of the month. A guy at the meeting pipes up and says, did somebody just say Weeaboo? Then they all line up to paddle his ass over it. It's a similar joke from the Send in the Horse sketch from Kids in the Hall, poking fun at the frat-like environment at some workplaces by
Wait, is that the origin of the term?
To an extreme that's absurd in this context. What does Weeaboo mean? Doesn't matter. The comic works better because it means nothing. But there's just something about these kinds of made-up words, which apparently are called nonce words, that fan bases—
Sorry? They called a what?
Kinds of made-up words, which apparently are called nonce words.
Nonce words? Why are they called that? For anyone who doesn't know, nonce in Norse? Is he saying nonce? Nonsense, like, nonsense words, I make sense. Nonce words, like, for anyone who doesn't know, nonce in the UK means, like, pedo.
That fan bases love to latch onto. I mean, you'll still hear Simpsons fans calling things cromulent.
And biggins? I never heard that word before I moved to Springfield.
Nonce word. It is, okay, it is nonce word.
I don't know why. It's a perfectly cromulent word.
And Gazornenblatt is probably one of the only jokes that people still remember from Garfield and Friends. And it's safe to say that the word weeaboo has had a bigger impact than any of these other nonce words. So much so that a lot of the people who use it in 2025 have probably never even heard of the Perry Bible Fellowship.
I haven't.
I know people have come to put all kinds of caveats to this. Every weeaboo I've ever met has a million excuses why they're actually not a weeaboo.
Oh, no, I'm 100% a weeb. 100% a weeb.
Refers to a person who's not Japanese, but they're obsessed with Japan and Japanese things.
Yes.
The kind of person described by the word has been around for centuries, but it was becoming increasingly more common throughout the late 90s and early 2000s as Japanese pop culture began to build more of a presence in the West. And this was especially true online. That classic looking for a Japanese girlfriend shirt was everywhere. You got plenty of white dudes giving themselves fake Japanese names Kairo Seijiro style. And I distinctly remember reading this blog by this woman who swore that her body had been taken
My
over.
vocabulary grows the more I watch Brodie. Now I learned Willy and nonce.
Maybe don't use those ones together.
By the soul of the deceased ex-Japan guitarist Hide, and now she's him reincarnated. At some point, I think she was even sending faxes to their drummer Yoshiki. Which, side note, I've wanted to cover that story for so long, and it just seems like every trace of it has been wiped from the internet. People would come up with all kinds of words to describe these people. Japanophile was probably the earliest one. And then in the 2000s, Wapanese became more common. Especially on 4chan, which itself was a hotbed.
Well, before, like, anime became a term used in the West, let me see if I can find the bit. It's really gonna get the section of the video claimed, but you know. Yeah, here it is. So this is from I don't remember what year this episode came out, but this is from The Simpsons. Bart watches a Japanese anime.
Cool, Japanimation.
Japanimation. Anyway, that was the main thing I want to show there, the Japanimation
of online Wapanese activity. And then in 2005, in an attempt to mitigate the overuse of the word and the hostility that came with it, 4chan mods added a filter that converted the word Wapanese into weeaboo. Of course, rather than putting an end to the Wapanese wars, this instead caused weeaboo to become the universally accepted word.
Everything goes back to 4chan. 4chan is the origin of all words. All internet words come from 4chan.
Word to describe this type of person. There's been quite
All internet culture, everything that you like on the internet comes from 4chan.
a few people who've been the face of weeaboos on 4chan. People like Apple Milk 1988, or the Garugamesh Kid. Both stories for another time. Today I want to talk about one that I've been seeing pop up a lot again recently for some reason. Sometimes as the subject of ridicule, sometimes as an inspirational story, and almost always completely divorced from reality. This is the story of Ken-sama.
Look at this lad. Look at this lad! What an absolute fucking legend this guy is.
This video is sponsored by Raycon.
Oh,
Mother's Day is coming,
Raycon!
and I
What
got the
year is
perfect thing
this?
for your mother.
11
Raycon's
months ago?
everyday headphones.
What the fuck? Wait, a Raycon ad last year? You a fucking time traveler?
Whether your mother's hitting the gym, busy at work, or just on the phone all day, you can give her the gift of premium audio that goes anywhere she does. And the latest model is their best yet. If you couldn't tell from the change of scenery, I've actually been
We love
traveling a bit this
Raycon.
month. And Raycon actually kind of saved my ass by sending me these because I didn't consider the difference between the nice studio monitors I use at home and my laptop speakers. I went up sending my editor
Is he basically Sephiroth's sword, but less sugoi and kawaii? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
video that sounded like I recorded in a sewer without even realizing it. But that won't be a problem for the rest of the month because now I can actually hear what's going on. And with the Raycon's hybrid active noise
You
cancellation,
still kind of sound like you're recording in a sewer. Maybe don't use a shotgun mic as your main microphone.
I don't even have to listen to this insanely loud refrigerator they have in here. It's rare to see that quality of noise cancellation for under $100. And with their quick charge function that gives 2 hours of battery life and 15 minutes charging with a total of 40-hour battery life. As for listening to music,
Pretty
I was
good
just
sponsor.
at the
Yeah, there's
gym
been some
listening to my
companies I've
workout
considered.
playlist, and I think the bass sound profile on these headphones is probably the best I've ever heard Raycon for the kind of music I listen to.
Surely.
If for any reason you don't like them,
Surely.
Raycon has a 30-day happiness guarantee.
If you're using Bluetooth headphones and expecting audio quality, I don't know what to tell you, man. There are zero good Bluetooth headphones. They don't exist because they're Bluetooth, and Bluetooth audio sucks. Now, if you want something that is fine, there's plenty of fine options. I have some, what are these? Fucking Soundcore? Is that what they are? Soundcore. I have some Soundcore earbuds. Why do I have two of them? Good question. So one of these, I use in the sauna. The other ones I don't. Because I don't want to melt them both. I would like to have one pair that works. That's pretty much it. Also, I lost one of them once, and then I bought a second one.
You can return the headphones, no questions asked. Experience premium sound wherever you go. Just head to buyraycon.
Is Soundcore Bluetooth? Yeah, they are Bluetooth, but I don't use the, like, if I'm at the gym, I don't care about sound quality. I care about sound. That's actually, that's the end of the sentence. I care about sound.
.com/wang20. You'll get 20% off site-wide, so don't miss out. One of the most common reliable post formats throughout 4chan's history is where you take a picture of a guy who seems to exemplify a type of guy, and then you write a post as if it was him writing it. One example that comes to mind is "Shit was so cash," which is written in the voice of a New Jersey Guido. His name is John, and he hates every single one of you. This kind of post is a great way to break down the characteristics of a type of guy, and at the same time, with 4chan being anonymous, you can kind of pretend that the guy really wrote it. You know, maybe shit really was so cash. Of course, one of the types of guys that found themselves the most
Oh, this is a shot.
under the microscope in early 4chan.
Oh, this is a shot. Got some Lucky Star manga here. Man, this is... Oh, look at this picture. This is truly an early 2000s weeb.
Was the weeaboo. You could probably fill entire libraries just with 4chan posts about weeaboos in the 2000s. So of course you had posts in this format made as a weeaboo character. And the one that's really stood the test of time came in 2009, accompanied by a picture of a tall, long-haired
I forget. Was that shot also in the Frank bit?
I don't remember. Maybe.
white guy with his hands folded wearing a kimono. The copy pasta reads, Gomenesai, my name is
Gomenesai.
Kenzama. I'm a 27-year-old American otaku, American fan for you gaijins. I draw anime and manga on my tablet and spend my days perfecting my art and playing superior Japanese games. Disgaea,
True.
Final Fantasy, Persona series.
Maybe not Final Fantasy. That's not in a great state.
I train with my katana every day. This superior weapon can cut clean through steel because it is folded over 1,000 times and is vastly superior to any
Was
other.
this posted from 2023? This image has been used well earlier than 2023.
It is folded over 1,000 times and is vastly
This is a modern version of this
superior
post.
to any other weapon on Earth.
It's been around since
I
like
earned my sword
early,
license 2
at least
years ago.
2010s.
And I have been getting better every day. I speak Japanese fluently, both kanji and the Osaka dialect, and I write fluently as well.
I speak kanji.
know everything about Japanese history and their Bushido code, which I follow 100%. When I get my Japanese visa, I am moving to Tokyo to attend a prestigious high school to learn more about their magnificent culture. I hope I can become an animator for Studio Ghibli or a game designer. I own several kimonos, which I wear around town.
The real thing that happened when you moved to Japan, you become an English teacher.
Get used to wearing them before I move to Japan so I can fit in easier. I bow to my elders and seniors and speak Japanese as often as I can, but rarely does anyone manage to respond. Wish me luck in Japan. This post so perfectly takes things that annoyed people about weeaboos in that time and just turns them up to 11. The insistence that everything Japanese is superior just because. Talking about Japanese things that everybody knows about, but acting like it's the most obscure thing ever. Pretending to be an expert on the culture while at the same time only having surface level knowledge and also getting a ton of things wrong. Like, if you were involved in any kind of subculture at this time that was in any way adjacent to this, you knew.
I want an interpretation of the Western obsession with Japanese culture. This is... So, I mentioned this before, but are you aware there is the same thing in Japan? There are Japanese people that are obsessed with the West. There are Japanese people who talk about America, talk about cartoons and all this stuff. I've mentioned this before. There are Japanese people who act the same way. Like, literally the exact same way.
A few people that were exactly like the person that was being made fun of here. You knew people who thought they were going to go to Japan
And then they go to France and realize France is a shithole.
and become J-pop idols. You knew people who thought they were going to go over there.
There's actually, sorry, I keep pausing. There actually is a term for people from, people like having culture shock going to France and realizing that Paris is a shithole. It's literally called Paris syndrome. It was first written about amongst Japanese tourists. First, there's a language barrier, like all this stuff, sure. But also realizing that Paris is not clean. Like, it's especially if you're coming from a place like Japan. When you go to a place, especially if your only idea of Paris in your mind is like the movie Paris. Going there and seeing what it's actually like, you're like, wow, this sucks.
And take over the anime industry by storm. And then the picture of the guy that they chose for this post fits its...
The same thing would happen to a lot of people going to New York, right? If your only idea of New York is this like Wall Street movie New York, and then you go there and then you realize, oh, there's rats everywhere, there's garbage on the streets, there's fent addicts just laying on the ground.
So perfectly, like, not only is he wearing a kimono, but he just generally looks like the kind of guy that would be like this. So this right here was the perfect 4chan Weeb character. So, and of course, like any good copy pasta, Ken-sama spawns a lot of parodies too. You get a bunch of guys who are similarly obsessed with different cultures. Most famously, Kenichi Smith or Rawhide Kobayashi, the Japanese Jap-American who loves barbecue, rodeo, and fireworks.
What a lad.
But unlike a lot of other 4chan characters, Ken-sama wound up getting extended lore. On March 11th of 2009, 2011, Japan would be hit by the most powerful earthquake in its history. This was followed by a massive tsunami that came on so quickly that people in its range had no chance to escape to safety. The event would take the lives of nearly 20,000 people, with thousands more injured or missing. And in the days following the disaster, websites were put up to help people try to track their loved ones who may be missing. Among those said to be missing was Ken-sama. You got a Google person finder entry. First name Ken, last name Sama. People were making tributes. There were multiple copy pastas made describing his last moments. And it seemed like the Ken-sama story had come to an abrupt end. But the stories of his demise were greatly exaggerated. In August of 2021, this post is made to R9K. I can't fucking believe that this is Ken-sama. Not only he slimmed down, he now has a QT Japanese GF. There's
Wow! Assuming this is the same guy. Wow, he's doing good for himself.
picture of a guy that's supposed to be Ken-sama, now slimmed down in Japan with
I
a
don't know if it's the
Japanese
same guy,
wife.
but
And there'd be more
maybe it is,
pictures
maybe
of
it's
him
not, who
posted to the
knows?
thread. The replies are a mixture of people believing this outright, others saying it's fake, and then you got a few people who are skeptical, but they're hopeful that it's true. God, I hope this is actually him. It's nice when meme subjects end up doing well in the end. This new update to the Ken-sama saga would spread further, as posts on Fit would focus on his apparent weight loss, and how his life has seemingly improved because of it. This was reposted to a bunch of different boards, either as an inspirational thing
Stop
or
being American
what's your
slop, that
excuse
would
incel
help.
kind of thing. And each time it was accompanied with debate over whether or not this was real. In one such post, also on R9K, one poster claims that the photos were originally found on the Japanese 2 channel, where Japanese users were saying it was in fact him. Now, this being 4chan, you get a mixture of people who are in on the joke and just playing along. You get some people who are convinced this is really true, and you get other people who are skeptical but open to the possibility. Where people get way more confused is when this breaks containment and makes its way onto Twitter. A lot of these people have never seen anything of Ken-sama ever. They just see what appears to be a progress picture of a man they've never seen before in their lives, and they're like, hell yeah, right on, man, good job. Even ignoring the fact that these pictures would be over a decade apart, and he somehow looks younger now, outside of
People may not like this. Being fat makes you look way older. If you're fat, you're gonna look older. That's just how it is.
vague resemblance in their hair texture, which isn't even the same color.
You
These
dye
men
your
just
hair.
don't look alike.
Also, old camera lighting, yeah.
Which
I'm
I
fat,
guess-
I concur.
On some level, if you're a weeaboo, that's gotta be like the ultimate flex. You know, if you're a white guy who wants to be Japanese, and then all of a sudden you got these other white people who are like, man, you guys look all the same. Then I guess you won. And although it was abundantly clear from the outset that Ken-sama was not really the guy in the picture, and it was all a joke, now these before and after shots go viral every few months, and a whole bunch of people who've never seen this before are convinced it's real. In fact, the true identity of Ken-sama had been revealed years ago. So after the earthquake incident, a Twitter user named Ace Weaver made a tribute video to the deceased Ken-sama. The video would be taken down by a woman named Marisa Ebers, or Nerdnitz. When Ace Weaver asked her why she did this, she responded that this was actually a picture of her husband, who is in fact not dead and not named Ken-sama. The original Ken-sama photo can be traced to a post from her blog made on September 7th of 2005. In the previous entry, Marisa had spoken about how she was impressed with the work of this costume shop named Seems Like Magic. Her and her then boyfriend, now husband, Braden, each bought a kimono from her. She mentions that she really wanted to show her readers how nice these kimonos were, so she was going to try to convince Braden to help her take some photos of them that night. And convince him she did. He's such a good guy. To pose for pictures right before bed when his hair's all wonky. I can only imagine the
So
conversation.
it's just some guy he doesn't even like Japan. He doesn't even want to wear the kimono. He's just doing it because his wife asked him.
That these people have had over the whole Ken-sama ordeal. Can you imagine? It's getting late one night, tired, your hair's all messed up, and your significant other is like, hey, before you go to bed, can you just take a picture of this kimono for my blog? I know you're tired and your hair is messy and whatnot, but only a few people are going to see it anyway. You reluctantly pose for a single picture, and now millions of people have seen you half asleep in a kimono. You become the face of weeaboos for 20 years. They're picturing you walking up the street in a kimono, bowing to strangers. They're writing whole fan fictions about your life, a fitness journey, a hero's death. And then just as the people who believe this come to learn that it's fake, a whole new crop of people come along every few months that believe it all over again. This has to come up anytime she tries to convince him to do anything. But anyway, that's the story of Ken-sama. If you like this video, turn on notifications and check out my video about Cairo Seijiro.
Okay.
I'm out.
I was not aware of the actual lore here. I had no idea, but I'm glad I am now. Energy is someone wearing a woman's suit tested being mistaken for cross-dressing. Yeah, do you know how many people are convinced that I am trans? It's very funny. It's actually incredibly funny. Because of that picture I posted like 3 years ago of me in a maid dress. And also the fact that you use an anime profile picture on Twitter, there are people who are legitimately convinced I'm trans. And I have no interest in correcting them because it is so fucking funny. Would like more info about the second guy. Oh, the guy who, with the skinny guy? Yeah, I would have as well. That would have been fun. Clearly Brodie is a femboy. Yeah, people are convinced that they're either convinced I'm trans or a femboy or whatever they you know, I am I am a let's see. I'm a trans femboy. What else do we have? Muslim, Jew, Amish, yeah. Trans femboy, Muslim Jew, Muslim Jewish Amish. Something of that combination. Lesbian Python Dev Theo. Yes. People have used the made image as an own on your replies and your tweets. Like, yeah, I posted that image. That's not a leaked image. I posted that, you fucking morons.